We're going to get pizza at the break, right?
Yeah, we're going to get pizza at the
What kind of
break.
pizza do you guys
Wait,
like?
okay, can I remind you guys of something? If it looks like we're talking to each other in a show format, it doesn't work for the opening intro riff. It's got to be like off the cuff, like we were just.
All right, yeah, let's just start.
Bebop and
We
scat.
need to just free associate. I'm going to say words, and then you guys just like.
Okay.
People have to believe this is how we actually are.
Go.
Okay,
Hit me.
same shit like
Hit
that.
me.
It's kinda... Boy, I sure do like pizza.
Cheese, pepperoni, a hamburger,
Hamburger?
spaghetti sauce on the bread.
Christians observe Christmas differently from their Jewish friends.
I went to Hebrew school, didn't learn a thing.
My favorite kind of cookie is a snickerdoodle at Christmas time. Hey, here's another rhyme from Chris.
I like to celebrate Christmas, and my name is Chris. Duh.
Now here's Griffin to finish us up so we can talk about
I wanted
the
to
games.
talk about pizza. I wanted to talk about pizza
Well,
because that's something that
I
I
actually
get into
do.
No,
debate
I
about.
actually have a legit question about this. Do you like New York pizza when you visit?
Have you ever had like actual New York? Like
Okay, this is also a bullshit thing.
Ray's-
As somebody who
Ray's original.
has been imported into New York, this idea of legit New York pizza, I don't know what the fuck
No,
this
no, no,
is.
no. But it's
There's-
like
there's
it's
so
shut
many
up,
types of
shut
pizza.
up, shut up, plant.
So many.
Wow,
Plant.
we haven't even
Plant.
started yet.
Shut up. Shut your fucking mouth.
I hope none of these games are as contentious as pizza. My name is Justin McElroy, and I know the best game of the year. Now, come on, you blew it out already.
My name is Griffin McRoy, and I know the best game of the year.
My name is Christopher Thomas Plant, and I know the best game of the year.
My name is Ross Frushing, and I know the best game of the week.
I specifically requested the no rushing section. There's a sign behind my chair. I didn't notice. It says, you may get annoyed, you will get pissed. This is the Besties, where we talk about the latest and greatest in sports, tickets, MMA, lights, ladders, screens, windows, people, TVs, games, everything. And this week we're talking about games, bringing it back to where it all began, picking the best games.
Do you
of
remember
the year.
when we had that like 20 episode arc where it was just ladders and tickets?
It was so long. I was just naming things I saw in the room.
We were reinventing ourselves. One of the many times we reinvented ourselves.
Yeah.
We're like, what if we tried tickets for a while, and then that wasn't enough to fill a whole hour, so we're like, gotta get some ladder talk in
That
there.
when they introduced that second step, not like the top step, but like the safety step right below it, that was like
Huge innovation.
That was a big
Weeks
deal.
of discussion.
Yeah.
So here's what we've got. We've got 16 games.
Yep.
12 of them are selected by us, and 4 of them were selected by you at home. And we are going to pit them against each other. We have 4, what would you say, loose groupings?
Divisions, if you will. I know you're not much with the sports, but they call them
4
divisions.
4 hemispheres.
4
right?
hemispheres. In the first division, we have sequels: Grand Theft Auto 5, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Saints Row 4, and Fire Emblem Awakening.
Is that really a sequel?
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Martha's back.
For the
Give me a
sake
break.
of the bracket.
Also, Martha's back. Give me a break.
Young
Next
lady.
division, Originals: Towerfall, Tearaway, Rogue Legacy, and The Last of Us.
Oh, God.
In the third division is Revamps. Now, these are technically part of a series, but are a bigger sort of paradigm shift in the sequels category. We have Tomb Raider, Bioshock Infinite, Super Mario 3D World, and Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Last up is the experimentals category. We have Kentucky Route Zero, Gone Home, Brothers, and the Stanley Parables.
It's a lot of great games.
Holy
A
cow.
lot of great games.
It's
Now,
been a
before you
good
get
year.
up in knots about the different divisions, and like it was just a way to group them, people.
It's really hard to group all 16 games into like 4 equally spaced divisions. So some of those could probably be considered sequels and they're revamps.
originals,
Blah, blah, blah.
Listen, we needed the indies to have a chance. Because if you put like a Gone Home up against a Call of Duty Ghosts,
Where is Ghosts on this list? Guys, we forgot. How did the fans not jump jump in.
It gets a bye actually.
Oh yeah,
it gets a bye and then
to the final
for
round.
the entire competition, unfortunately.
Okay, so you know at home, Ghost is our game of the year, but so I say listen, let's get into it.
Okay.
First battle.
Where are we starting?
Let's go to sequels.
Okay.
Start
Gonna
off
be an easy one,
We're
right?
gonna start off big. Grand Theft Auto 5 versus Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. What is up? What's up?
So you want people to kind of just give a basic setup.
Set it up.
So I reviewed this game, so I'm
Grand
I'm
Theft Auto
which game are you talking
5.
about?
Real short,
Grand Theft
real
Auto
concise.
5.
Keep it
really
keep it
concise.
tight.
They took all the beauty and majesty of the giant open world from Grand Theft Auto 4, which was set in New York, moved it to Los Angeles, and then they added this thing called fun, where the game had a sense of humor about itself, finally, and you could do lots more that wasn't just boring driving around and shooting people. And a lot of the boring side activities of Grand Theft Auto 4 became at least more interesting for me in Grand Theft Auto 5. There was more color, and there were more characters, which is an idea that I think everyone's going to rip off pretty soon, which in this game you could switch between 3 protagonists.
Are we counting GTA Online in our consideration?
I think we should. I think we have to. It's
But
in
they
the
call it
box.
a standalone game. Like that's
That's
their message.
horse hockey.
And we added the review. We added the GTA Online section to the review.
I mean,
so,
not that.
and-
As far as we can tell, Grand Theft Auto Online has added really anything substantial.
Sure.
to the GTA
Going up
5
against
experience.
GTA 5 is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
Oh, yeah,
This is
sure.
what is it? Actually, the 7th or 8th in the series.
It's
Something
a
like
billion.
that.
It's
17th.
been like
I don't know.
PSP 1.
So this is the new big tentpole Assassin's Creed 4. It takes you to the open seas,
Caribbean.
The Caribbean as Edward Kenway sailing around the ocean. It's definitely an evolution in terms of actually making fun side activities.
Right, they Far Cry 3'd it up.
They Far Cry 3'd it up a
This is
little bit.
Ubisoft's defining moment of their strategy of let's do Far Cry 3 in all of our games because that did super, super well.
Yeah, I'd also say it felt like a return to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where it was we need to make sure not just the main story is the focus, we need to make sure all the side quests are fun and engaging as well. Yep. Just moving around the world and doing stuff in this game needs to be fun. So
better main quest, better story. It's an evolution in
And
pretty much
sweet
every
pirate shit
Yeah.
around the
pirate
clock.
stuff.
I think it's safe to say that everyone at this table despised Assassin's Creed 3 pretty consistently. And it says a lot that me as being really pissed off at Assassin's Creed 3 came back and was like, what you got, Assassin's Creed guys?
Yeah.
And they totally sold me on it.
collectible sea shanties also.
Absolutely.
So I asked this very, very tenderly. I think we should try to keep it calm, keep it polite.
Okay.
What's our initial read on this? What do you guys think?
I'm so torn, man. My opinion on GTA 5 has soured pretty significantly since I finished the game because it was super fun, and they did get back to. I liked San Andreas way better than I liked GTA 4.
Yeah.
Because it didn't take itself seriously. It had. I just liked the setting of San Andreas much better. I felt like it was more open, much larger. There was more stuff to do, and GTA 5 gets back to that. But I just hated every single character and every single line of dialogue in that entire game. It was so
This is GTA 5 you're talking
GTA 5, yeah, and it's what they were going for, which I guess kudos, but every single sentence that was uttered was so completely despicable and not in the playful hey way, but to where it was honestly by the end of it getting kind of hard to stomach the garbage.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it was poorly written. I'm saying
No.
they made the most just horrible human.
Well, I
being.
think you could make an argument for poorly written in that it didn't have. I don't think it had a salient, interesting point to make with all the cynicism and meanness. I think that you can make an argument that the dialogue is better than a lot of games, but I think as a cohesive story, I don't think thematically it had a lot to say other than everything is shitty.
I think it is actually the opposite. I think it is one of the most interesting games in the GTA series in terms of having something to say. I think all the male bullshit, so much of the game is about, the male persona and machismo, and that sucks. I have no interest in that. But what I found interesting is that throughout this game, and this is something you actually had an issue with while you were playing it, you are doing all of this work and you're not getting any money. like it keeps keeping money away from you, which is so the opposite of what you expect from a Grand Theft Auto game. And what I love is that it's putting the idea of Grand Theft Auto on its head. It's showing that you get into this lifestyle and you get deeper and deeper in the shit and you get less and less for it. And there's always going to be people who are above you who are going to use you, whether that be, you know, crime or the government or somebody. And I like that idea,
Well, I think
which I think is
worthwhile. If you're looking at it from that lens, it's interesting that the only way to actually make money is to play
the stock
gamble
market.
To
to play the
stock market.
legal but horrible
But
thing.
Yeah.
at the same time, though, like we just sang its praises for being this return to form of like fun stuff to do, and like I didn't spend a dime until I finished the final heist because you get like 90% of the money that you get throughout the entire game by playing the final heist, and it's like you can't afford most of the stuff.
See, I don't think that's true either because in terms of weapons and stuff, I never had an issue buying anything. The problem is it makes you think that you can't buy anything because it's setting these numbers so high and in your face. It's like you're gonna get a bajillion dollars, and then you get like 70,000. But the reality is everything in the game except for like planes
Tanks.
is underneath that price.
And all
Now-
the properties.
and all the
this-
properties.
Yeah, and the properties are meaningless, which is again a like pretty great critique of the entire system.
I think we're all focusing on, you know, the story. Obviously, there can be complaints about the characters, absolutely, and the writing, absolutely. Like, I personally liked the Trevor stuff. I thought it was well acted and like funny. Didn't care for like Michael's story, and Franklin's story was like a joke.
It's a wash.
But I would say the thing that we should really be focusing on, because it's by far the most impressive aspect by a mile,
That
and why it's on
torture
the
scene
list,
was just so great. I don't know about you guys, but I got my heart of racing.
is this world that they created.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever has made a video game world that is this believable. Name another world.
Not
that is-
believable. I thought you were going to end that sentence with a different word.
No. Okay. I would say believable from block to block. Every aspect of the city feels like a city that I could live in.
Yeah.
And it looks gorgeous. and
Complete with the long freeways connecting the different like regions of the city, which inexplicably at the end of the game they make you drive up and down in every single mission. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mean to like cut the rug out from under you because
Sure.
like the world is incredible, but it does have these
So-
long stretches where there's nothing, and it makes you thoroughly excited.
But
okay,
even when I would say even
but
when
what
there's
we're
nothing,
talking about,
like,
but what you're talking about is an issue of resources. Like, given X amount of time and dollars, anybody can accurately replicate a world. Like,
False.
that's not
So false.
No,
It's-
I there's no
understand that
artistic
line of
inspiration
thinking.
to creating a digital world like that. You throw enough money and people at it, and it will be there.
don't think that's true.
Let's look at another game that came out this year that we'll get to in a little while is Bioshock Infinite. There are plenty of projects where people throw money at something.
I'm not talking about making an interesting world. I'm talking about making, like, if you want to try to replicate the scale and scope of LA, then you pay a bunch of money and have a bunch of people creating.
Yeah, but it's not
environments
just a
for
matter
it.
of like having here's 64 buildings that we can pick from. It's a pretty serious undertaking to like just from an art design standpoint, from like a city layout standpoint.
Let me also rephrase what I think Freshik is trying to get at too is not only does it feel believable, like when you're there, it's like, wow, this is LA, but it's also usable and playable.
Right.
And that's that's difficult to just somehow reduce an entire culture, which
Okay.
they do pretty well. Even while I don't like the cynicism, boy, does it feel like LA a lot of times.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think
And I'll
that,
grant you
and I
that.
think
That's
that is
a
the accomplishment.
worthwhile
On
thing.
top of all that, I will say the moments that I had in the game away from all this bullshit, and we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, with Assassin's Creed, where you get away from the story, because there's not a lot of story we can talk about with Assassin's Creed. But the moments away from the bullshit were incredible. Like going up into the mountains in an SUV and like starting a crime and then driving down the highway up into the wind farms when helicopters are flying into the wind farms, and suddenly it's like fading into night and the door opens of your car and the light is like pouring out of your car. And yeah, and people don't like when you talk about like graphics bullshit, but like I felt so in it when those little details are happening.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like I'm in a Michael Mann movie.
I think, though, for different reasons, I could say a lot of the same stuff about Assassin's Creed 4. It had a scope that none of the other games have come close to, and it really did. There was so much in the world, and there was so much variation from like island to area you would visit. that it made me feel like, oh, I'm just going to sail in this direction and see what I end up, see where I end up. Because I left a lot of stuff on the table, like places I could explore, and just because I had to get back to my actual life.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
A huge step forward, I think, in a way that that I think makes 3 even worse.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that 3 is a black mark on the series. But I would say, so there's a couple things that I think.
Oh God.
There's a couple things that I think Assassin's Creed 4 does really, really well. The exploration aspects, I totally agree with you. Like going around the world, I don't think the environment's changed that dramatically. Like you're still dealing with
I'm about
Caribbean.
I'm about 40% done with like the world content of like everything that there is, and like now kind of every island is just sort of like there's some hidden treasure there. There's a whale nearby.
But
I'm talking about a look too that is very distinct from like
the cities do vary pretty dramatically.
And they're a lot different from like just a small native native colonies. And
there's like the Mayan jungle or whatever, the Aztec jungle, and So I agree that like some of the islands do look different. I think where this game absolutely succeeds 100% is boarding a ship makes you feel like a goddamn pirate.
Well, to be more like to sort of catch all that in one basket, I think, and this may be a fairly contentious statement, but it captures the feeling of piracy better than other games that like didn't have this second real world storyline going on and didn't have all these exploration elements. Stuff like that, like building your ship, I had such a sense of ownership in that ship, even though like I can't really decide what it looks like and I can't really name it. I mean, I can change the sails and the figurehead and stuff like that, but like I felt an ownership over that and the crew and how we developed and
to me, what Russ mentioned and what you're talking about, that gameplay loop of I see a ship over there, I'm gonna go first off shoot that ship with lots of different weapons, try to steer away from that ship, swing onto that ship on a sweet rope, cut another rope and zip up to the crow's nest and shoot the rock. That loop of like capturing a boat and some of the other pirate activities is more fun and I think made me happier and made me was more exciting to me than any sequence in GTA 5, which is why I'm leaning towards Assassin's Creed.
The reason
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I understand that and I enjoy that in the game. The problem with the Assassin's Creed series for me as a whole, and this is barely a problem. I'm like right now I'm just kind of nitpicking at the two of them, but it's that I feel a bit like I'm in a Skinner's box. Is that right? Where you're just getting
Skinner box.
In
the cat that didn't exist.
Oh my God!
Did you? Is that really what you were
No,
trying to reference?
no. I literally just did the wrong thing.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm just getting fed these like rewards. Oh my God! Now I'm trying to think of what.
Pavlov.
Sure.
The dogs.
Pavlov's bag. He
My
put his dog in a
high
bag and he
school
kept throwing
psychology
treats.
class did nothing. But I feel like I'm getting these rewards, and that's what I'm really playing it for. And I don't even notice it until I step away from it. And then after I finish the game, I like run around the world, and I'm like, I don't really enjoy this. I don't really enjoy the fighting. I don't really enjoy the getting around this world. But I do enjoy like climbing and getting like a ping and it being like, you've opened up some more of the map, and like you found a little bit more of this.
But the fighting's great. Like the fighting's great, and the ship combat's great, and I can't agree with you that it's just like a dopamine hit that you get for a reward, because like these individual components do work. I mean, they are fun and well constructed and are varied and are not like, and I would say more so than a lot of the loops in or gameplay segments of Grand Theft Auto 5, which I think just from a combat perspective, like fighting and killing things.
I would say Assassin's Creed 4 gameplay wise and like mission wise is pretty steady. Like it's pretty steadily pretty high. Grand Theft Auto 5 I think has more peaks and valleys, and the peaks being I think obviously the heist.
Well,
mission.
wait. Let me disagree with you there, because I honestly think what we're not going into, which is very important, is that the campaign, the story of Assassin's Creed 4 is really not good, and those missions are really not that interesting. They're like forced stealth missions, forced follow this dude missions. Like
I will say
a
this,
lot of not fun.
Whoever storyboarded, and also the person who greenlit the two words boat stealth shouldn't work in this industry or any industry ever again.
Okay,
anymore.
let me stop you guys. We've talked about this for a long time, just so we can see where we're at. I want to take a vote.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of games to get through today. what is the vote on these two games?
I would vote GTA 5, but it's close.
I would vote Assassin's Creed 4.
I'd GTA 5. Oh man. We'll mix this up so it doesn't always fall on you.
I hate to do this, but for boat stealth alone, it's GTA 5.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Congrats.
It's a great game. It's a really. I want to like Assassin's Creed more than because it's so surprising that it's this good.
I actually think Assassin's Creed 4, and the reason I didn't bear down too hard is that you are 100% right that at some point in the creation of all these side stuff, they forgot to make the main quest like good at all. It is shocking when you're like, you want me to tail a fool again?
Yeah.
That's all
in
I
a
do.
boat.
In a
And
boat.
they can't
The
see
other
me?
thing is-
My boat's wicked big.
Black Flag 2, when they drop the Assassin's Creed brand from it, and they don't have to worry about all the other stuff, and it's just Black Flag 2, that game is going to be baller.
So GTA 5 moves on. Our next pairing, I suspect will be slightly less contentious. Saints Row 4 versus Fire Emblem Awakening.
So
Okay, hold-
we should mention that the Fire Emblem Awakening is one of the user votes. So let's give it the due respect.
I'll
it
give it
deserves.
some
It
due
is a
respect.
really,
It's
really
an
good game.
incredible game. It tided over, I think, a lot of people. The 3DS has had, I think, the best year ever, both in its lifetime and possibly in like any handheld's lifetime ever. Like there were some mammoth
Yes,
gems.
that's-
No,
Crazy
I
years.
think that's actually pretty fair.
We got Fire Emblem Awakening,
Insert-
Luigi's Mansion,
Sure.
Animal Crossing, Pokemon,
Link.
Link's Awakening. Oh God, Link.
One of the best Zelda games.
Yeah, like it has had like a killer year. When I talk to people who say, "I don't have a 3DS," like after this year, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How do you not have one at this point? And I think Fire Emblem Awakening, I think came out in like what, February or something.
it was early.
Came out early, had like tons and tons and tons of content. I had never played a Fire Emblem game before, but it was very familiar in the Advance Wars sort of way.
Surprisingly, really good writing.
Really
Like,
good writing.
writing.
Looks,
That really
looks
works.
Gorgeous
terrific.
graphics. Here's what I will say, and the fact that you haven't played a Fire Emblem game before, I think, has a lot to do with maybe why. I mean, I loved it too. Like, I absolutely really dug it. But having played one before, I know how formulaic they are, and this one sticks really close to the formula. Like, does a little bit interesting stuff with people mating and like having babies. Like, that was kind of interesting. But for the most part, this is a straight up Fire Emblem game. So a really good one, but doesn't really innovate that much in the formula.
We are supposed to lay out these games before we start.
I thought we laid out the other one.
No, we just
Saints
said
Row
the
4.
title.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
just assumed by saying the title, people know.
People knew superheroes.
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, to be fair, what you just said about Fire Emblem, in a weird way, could be applied to Saints Row 4,
Yeah.
which was originally
true.
a downloadable content pack for Saints Row 3. I mean, it obviously came a long way, but it's an interesting kind of head-to-head because
There's a lot of reused segments,
entire city.
which is not what we should be hung up on. It should be about the quality
Let's
of the
lay it
game
out.
and
Lay
how
it
much
out.
fun.
Lay it out.
Saints Row 4. You like Saints Row 3? What if you had superpowers?
What if you could do anything?
What if you
It
do
goes
anything?
beyond superpowers.
What if games had no rules and you yourself
Who made these rules?
did not have to abide by rules? Saints Row 4 is the power fantasy defined. It should almost be the end of power fantasies in video games because you don't get more powerful than being the president who has superpowers, which is what actually no bullshit happens in Saints Row 4.
in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I do think let's move on, compare these two games because I'm sure when we pit this, whatever wins against GTA 5, we'll talk about it a lot more. So
I'll start with Fire Emblem because I feel like you guys are gonna want to get this round over with pretty quickly. But I am only now remembering like how much I really loved that game because I think you have a good point. I could see it being formulaic, just another series entry. But it is a type of strategy role-playing game that I had never experienced before. Like, there's a lot of stuff in that genre that is just too intense for me. I've never been able to get in like the Disgaea series. I like Final Fantasy Tactics, and this was something that like was super fresh for me. Although without that freshness, I can see why it wouldn't be so hot. But it has like it's that kind of like super content rich. Offers you a lot of chances to customize your team, your dudes in that Pokemon-esque way. Like that's my jam, and I put dozens and dozens and dozens of hours in.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's probably my favorite Fire Emblem game of all the ones I played, but only by like a minuscule amount because again, it's like just slowly iterating, which is what Nintendo does. Like Nintendo knows how to make a game better over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were talking about reused content. Like a lot of those assets, I'm sure, came from the Wii version of the game, which came out a couple years ago. There was a 3D Wii Fire Emblem game that came out.
Do you know that for sure? Or you just butt talking?
Maybe I'm just butt talking.
I think you might just be butt.
I don't want to assume, but
I want to have a vote.
maybe.
Let's vote.
Okay, let's vote.
Saints Row 4.
Also, I'm voting for
Saints
that.
Row 4?
Yeah, Saints Row 4.
Griffin, what's your vote?
It's Fire Emblem, but it doesn't matter.
All right, Saints Row 4 brings down Fire Emblem Awakening.
This is the worst part about this. These are just like great games that we're just
we
having.
got to be merciless for this arbitrary selection of which art product is the best one for whatever. Next section. This one is brutal. This is originals. These are games that are.
Poor Griffin.
It's good. This is gonna. These next few are gonna hurt. So let's get down deep into them, because I don't even know how I feel about some of these. First up, Towerfall versus Tearaway.
So I just want to say something before we do this.
A funeral dirge.
No, first we're gonna lay out.
I'm gonna lay it out. Okay, so Towerfall is the game of the year. And Tearaway is a really fucking amazing game that should not have to. It didn't ask to be here. This is brother versus brother.
Okay, so Towerfall is. You guys give me like if you could just sum it up in like 30 seconds, just like I tell you to, just once.
Yeah, it's like a Smash Brothers type of game, but with arrows.
And single hit kills. It's much faster.
Smash
than
Bros.
Smash
had
Brothers.
arrows. Did you replace Pit high or Link high or Toon Link high?
Oh my god.
Griffin, Tearaway, 30 seconds.
Tearaway is the most delightful game that I played this year. It made me so happy. It's a concentrated ball of paper craft joy that makes you a character in the game unlike any game has ever done or even tried to do. It's a reason to own a Vita. And you guys are about to take it out behind the shed.
All right, guys.
Hasn't it had it hard enough? Like, it's a great game. It's already down to like $19.99
can we
on
check-
I heard it sold well recently.
Can we check something real quick? Quick vote.
Okay. I gotta go Towerfall. I'm sorry.
Clickers plant.
Towerfall.
Tearaway.
Tearaway. Let's do this.
What? No.
Tearaway is a delightful,
Oh my
creative,
God. This is gonna
beautiful game.
Super ugly.
Work of
Just
art.
so we're all mentally and physically prepared.
Towerfall. You guys think
I will not-
I
No,
do not want to have to trash Tearaway.
you don't have
Yeah,
to.
that's what
'cause-
we're leveraging against you.
I will trash
No,
Tearaway
listen,
if I have to.
Towerfall.
I love that game, but I will trash it.
You guys love Towerfall. Like, you love Towerfall.
First of all, that game's not really out yet.
Okay, first of all,
It is on Ouya.
It was out
Okay.
on Ouya.
First off, Towerfall, you guys love Towerfall in the same way that in college I love Office Space. Like
No.
me and
No.
my buddies all got together. It was
So
like
mad.
a really transformative time.
no idea.
Before these crowded streets, Dave Matthews Band, best work, and I have fond memories of it, but only because you guys work at a place that covers video games
I really
and have
didn't wanna do
countless
this.
people to play video games with
No.
constantly.
Before it gets nasty. Our thing that we talked about before we did it is if you haven't played a game that much, you wouldn't be weighted in the count. And I think there's going to be a lot of room for Towerfall to go up against stuff later. I haven't played that much Towerfall.
You have
were there.
played it, though. It's
you were there for the
valid.
20 minutes of Towerfall.
What I'm saying
That
is, and I
was-
don't think it's an invalid point, that like you guys are in a situation that a lot of people
That
aren't.
has nothing to do with it.
Okay,
not the game's fault.
I could like finish a point, and then you could tell me why it's wrong.
No, let him
saying,
let him
that's-
finish.
Let me finish the point.
Okay.
I don't live in a situation where I have 3 people to play Towerfall against constantly. Now, does that necessarily make it less valuable or less worthy? No, but I think your guys' perception of this game and its value is colored by the fact that you have a constant source of people to play with, and you have lots of opportunities to like, you have lots of great memories about like great fights or great stuff that's happened to you in the game that are experiences that I'm saying most people would not. It does not mirror the experience of most people. Like, you love it in the way that you would love foosball because we all have a foosball table and we're playing it. I'm not saying I'm not detracting from it. I'm
I
saying
know what you're saying, but
it's
what I would
skewing your
say
perception.
in response, and why I feel like that is unfair and also not true, is that would be like saying, like, you have a Vita and I don't, therefore you have an experience that
Yeah,
I
or
am
like
not,
we
that
can't
I'm not
knock
welcome
we
to.
can't just knock
The other,
multiplayer games
and
out of
I think the
contention.
foosball thing is interesting. I do think that is like an interesting comparison. Where I would say that is different is we have tons of games
Yeah.
to play competitive in the office. We
Not-
we do not
Tons.
laugh when it comes.
Not only that, I've played tons of competitive games over the last 10 years. No joke, have not played a more entertaining minute-to-minute competitive game than Towerfall in the last 10 years.
I want to clarify something. I think Towerfall is great too. I've
so-
had a lot of fun when I played it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I think, and I don't think this is invalid, is like because you have so many good memories tied to it.
But this is
Then
That's
it could skew your perception.
that's only a testament
that's a
to how
good
good
thing.
the game is.
But also this
But like if like I had won $1 million on the same day I bought Bayou Billy, so Bayou Billy's the sweetest game.
no,
in the
that would
world,
be like if you played Bayou Billy and by playing it you got $1 million.
Okay, yeah, but I was like, I want to scratch off on the back of the game. It's like, well, that was the only way. I was the only one who won
this,
it.
this metaphor is getting like
Really,
out
yeah.
of control.
Here's what I would say, and why I feel so passionate about Towerfall. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was very rude of me.
Yeah, well,
but this is
like the
this is why I think I feel so passionate about it. As in, unlike any game this year, is I have never seen something like what's happened across not just Polygon New York, but Polygon DC. Like throughout our entire company, people who don't play video games have started forming communities around this game. And there were many options to do that with other games, and that never happened. And it's become basically this shorthand for everyone we work with. And it could be any company, because these aren't people who work at Polygon. These are people who work at like SB Nation or people who work in product team who have never played any games since Mario Kart. Like, it's this weirdly magical thing that I feel like it's just I just could not imagine it happening.
That
with
is
any other
capable
game.
of bringing in not only that casual player, but also the insane players like us or Jimmy, who's one of our video guys that it absolutely dominates everyone, but is still able to enjoy himself and have a good time when he's playing people that just started playing.
Okay, Griffin, Tearaway. Why
Yeah,
is
let's
it
talk
better
about
than Towerfall?
It's just not like any game I've ever played, both in terms of like presentation and just what the game is. Like it's a platformer, but it's so much more than that, because if it just relied on its platforming elements, it would be pretty I don't know, it wouldn't really blow me away.
Yeah.
It's everything that it layers on top of it. It's I don't want to gloss over the presentation, because it's one of the like most incredible things I've ever seen in a game before, how they have approached this idea of everything being made out of paper in such a holistic manner in terms of just design and sound design and mechanics. They use every single piece of the Vita, almost like justifying that rear touchpad in a way that I didn't think a game would ever be capable of doing before.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
It's magical. Like,
that's
magical.
that's such
Playing
like
it feels
that's
magic.
such a bullshit like box quote term.
Yeah.
But every time your face is in the sun in this world that it captures through the Vita's like face-facing camera.
Yeah.
And every time my face showed up in the world, I would like make a face almost involuntarily.
What's
and
your
like,
face? Did you
like
make the
have
same
to
face
smile.
every time? This is what I did every time. Like that. Like I'm so happy to see.
and
everybody.
there is literally no reason to do.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I was alone. It
You
wasn't
could take a
for-
picture of a butt. if
It
you
wasn't for anybody's entertainment but my own, and like no game has even like come close to capturing me in that way. Like it's such a unique experience that is just, it takes this idea of user generated content and doesn't make it this engineering thing. It's like
an artistic thing.
It's an artistic way of generating content in a way that anybody can understand.
They're like, there's a moment in the game where they're like, okay, we need a pattern for this moose, okay? So come up with a pattern. And instead of just being like, oh, who gives a shit? Like, I'll do whatever pattern I care. I actually like looked around my room and was like,
What's gonna look
there's
good on this
gingham.
moose? Yeah.
Awesome. And then I was like so thrilled when the moose was in gingham.
And I did a picture of Bill Cosby's face, and then that kept showing up throughout the game. Like it has this great way of reusing the assets that you create, all the way up until the point where the ending, which I won't spoil because it's my favorite video game ending of the year, it just like encapsulates it all into this world that you feel like you are the absolute author of. Like it's it's enchanting. It's incredible.
For me, I really enjoyed it because it felt like a safe chance to go back to kindergarten. Like this place that you was very warm and experimental as a child, where it's like, oh, I can do craft projects, and we're going to it's all these very simple tasks that are just naturally feel good, and also an emphasis on you in a weird way that doesn't feel vain,
right?
Like kindergarten did, and just seeing yourself in the sun, doing these little projects, but it never feeling patronizing.
Yeah. Well, to save us from actually having to do a vote, because I don't think we need to do that, are we willing to concede that even though we haven't had the same experience with Towerfall, their deep and abiding love of it
I'll
is
break
enough
this.
to put
I'll break this right now. It's not their love. I don't give a shit about that. I played it. I played it for 20 minutes upstairs a couple hours ago, and I had a blast with it. I love these kinds of. My favorite gaming experiences this year, if I were to look at my top 3, I think all 3 probably had some local multiplayer element in it. It's like the industry's moving in that way. People are starting to remember how much they love that stuff, and that's amazing. Based on that 20 minutes, I can totally see myself getting as deep into it as you guys did.
Okay.
So
with that, Towerfall brings down Tearaway.
But seriously, if you have a Vita and you didn't play Tearaway,
oh my gosh. And now it's so cheap.
It's super on sale already, which is heartbreaking. Please buy
it really
and play
is
that
an amazing
game.
game, and it's probably going to be the last or one of the last really big
Vita
budget
games.
Studio specific to Vita games that comes out for a while, because
for a while.
a while, because
Well, I don't know.
there's nothing on the horizon. It's all going to be indies.
Well,
so
no, that's not true. You got Gravity Rush 2 is.
Sony seems to be wanting to associate it as the PS4 secondary device.
Yeah.
So the idea is
Yeah,
that
but
a lot of things will be coming out
Listen,
on both
this is
systems.
this is not related. We got to move on.
Unnecessary segue.
Unnecessary segue. We got 2 more games in this category:
Please
Rogue
go.
Legacy versus Last of Us. A real unlikely pairing. Now, let me set up Last of Us.
a
You
lot
may
of
have
death.
read the incorrect Polygon review. Russ, Phil Kohler gave
my
it a
gosh.
7.5. Now, we can all agree that's the wrong score, but let's move beyond that. It's a game about a man and a little girl trying to escape the undead. She is immune to the plant that is taking over the world and turning people into zombies. So an adult man has to escort her.
You have no other characteristic. He's a man,
He's
and
he's
definitely an
a bearded
adult.
gentleman has to escort her across the country on a road trip, and it is really, really good.
Yeah.
Rogue Legacy is a action platformer game in the Castlevania style that is has roguelike elements pretty much all throughout. The controls are really, really good. It has that element of randomness to how the characters are generated. It also has a really great system of progression and unlocks that. You spend the treasure that you find in the castle, which makes that whole loop really rewarding. Every time I found a big hoard of treasure, I don't know. I got really excited about it. I like games that make treasure feel valuable.
Yeah.
We talked about that when we talked about Link Between Worlds. When you get something in a dungeon and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna use this.
We need to pick this up a little bit, but I honestly, I'm sitting here. Do you guys have a strong? For me, I feel like I liked each of these games almost exactly equally. Right now, sitting here trying to think back on it,
It's so tough.
really don't know. I mean,
And they're it's just such a.
I thought
this
both
is
of
why
these are
drawing
great.
comparisons to things like this.
know.
It's
brutal.
really you just have to start. What I like about this discussion is it's a chance to talk out why we like the games.
Yeah.
And not try to be well, one of them is
One has
platformer.
2
Yeah.
more levels.
Here's where I'm freezing up is that they are on the tone spectrum, literally the polar opposites. Because Rogue Legacy, you could be a lesbian dwarf with irritable bowel syndrome who just jumps around and goes searching for treasure, and it's fun and lighthearted. It can be kind of punishing, but entirely mechanically. If you die, it's almost comical in a way, the way that you're remembered. And The Last of Us is impressive in this just
Bleak.
web of despair that it never ever 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 lets up on.
Yeah.
That is I had fun playing Rogue Legacy. I don't think I would ever call anything I experienced playing The Last of Us fun. And like, I'm into as much artsy shit as you can throw at me, but like, it's hard for me to play a game and say, wow, that wasn't fun at all. I didn't enjoy that at all. And then still be like, that's a great.
I wouldn't say that. I think what Last of Us does and like the fun moments of Last of Us, there's two moments. One is the like really cool, wide open arena stuff where you get into a situation where there's like 20 guys in an area, and you essentially have to like really use the environment and use like stealth tactics and like ammo conservation to dismantle this huge crowd of enemies.
Even not mechanically, being dropped into those kinds of oh shit moments, like Uncharted 3, you're in the boat, the glass is breaking, the water's about to come rushing in. Like, those moments are better than the moments that follow them. Those moments of tension of like, oh no, this is about to get so real. Last of Us is just that back to back to back to back.
Oh, well, and moments where you keep thinking, oh shit, this is going to get real, and then nothing gets
And then
real.
nothing
And
happens.
those are the best.
Yeah.
Like, those are my favorite moments in the game, is when it just chilled out.
There are moments of in Last of Us that are, and I think I talked about one on the show where the little girl you're watching is talking with another young boy that you meet on the road, and he wants to take a toy with him that his dad won't let him carry in his back because they don't want any extra weight, and the dad tells him he has to put it back, and then the scene moves away, the camera moves away, and if you look back, you see Ellie, the girl you're watching, pick up the toy and put it in her backpack.
I just
to
got
give to him
chills,
later.
by the way. Literally, as you're
Right?
talking
Did
about
you see
that.
it?
Yeah.
She
and
doesn't
like,
do it if you stay and watch her.
Yeah,
which is the
you have to
craziest
turn
thing.
your back and then look back at her.
Yeah.
Like, that to me, if you put that kind of thought into a game and you put that kind of thought into making me have that moment that you made that only not a lot of people are going to see it, but I looked back to see it, and I think about it now, I think I have to go with Last of Us for these two.
And when I as you were describing that and the chills that I felt, like, in terms of the games that I had an emotional connection with, like with the characters, with the story, without a doubt, I had the most intense emotions while playing Last of Us. There's moments towards the end of the game that I don't want to talk about for people that haven't played it, but like there's a very quiet moment that everyone will remember having played this game.
Yeah.
Not to mention the like very ending, which is also like really uncharted territory for video games.
You keep doing. I don't know if you've. That's like the
whole
fifth
time.
pun that you've done during the sesh.
It just happens
What
next.
do you guys think?
God, Last of Us. God, talking about. I have harbored such a grudge against that game because like when I finished, I was like, I'm never gonna play that game. Like that game made me feel like dog shit.
But it makes
for
you feel
9
something.
hours.
Yeah.
I
Other
guess,
than,
but
like,
like,
fuck this
so does
game.
like.
Schindler's List. That's what it feels like. It's like Schindler's List. I never want to watch that movie again, but damn, it was good.
It's a weird comparison, but
a
sure.
really
Why? It's a really depressing but really well-made movie.
Last of Us?
Last of Us.
Last of Us?
Yeah.
Last of Us? Okay.
I will say,
also
I'm
great.
psyched for Rogue Legacy to be out on
Vita.
Vita.
Yeah, that's the platform it's designed for.
All right,
It is
so
going to rock.
Last of Us takes it. That's half of the games in this initial round. We are going to take a quick break for halftime, and then we will be right back.
It's the holiday season in New York, replete with falling snow, ice skating. And it's here that 4 questionably wise men have been tasked with the most difficult challenge of their lives. They have to buy something nice for another human being.
So, I have to get in the mind of Justin Hoops McElroy. What does Justin like? Things Justin likes. Happiness, family, brothers. He has 2 brothers. He likes the game Brothers.
I'm getting a gift for Russ Fresh Stick, my favorite bestie. I'm going to scour the city until I find just the right thing. Oh no. It's way too cold. It's like 20 degrees out there. I'm going to have to find something in here.
Griffin loves me and everything that I do. I think when something's made, it's made from the heart. So I'm going to make him something.
My secret Santa recipient, my secret child, is Chris Plant. He loves a lot of things. He loves his wife. He loves Towerfall. But more than both of those things, he loves The Bachelor.
Guys, I found exactly what I want to get Justin, and no one is here to sell it to me. There is a hoot owl with a baby mouse. Also, Pug.
Want to try 4-7? I don't know who's there. I'll just ask him. Oh, that was wrong. No, sorry, wrong floor. Do y'all sell anything here? No. Great.
So I need 2 things here. I need Elmer's glue and I need macaroni. Okay, stationery. Here we go. School glue, just what I needed. Should I buy? No, I'm gonna go off-brand.
This looks very business. I'm not seeing a lot of retail. No, there's no retail options on this floor. This is no good.
I'm going to go find him a book written by recent winner and host Desiree and Chris about baseball-themed love poems.
This is just what I need. Okay, so I don't know what color this is. This is probably like a brown, right? Yeah.
So I found a Barnes & Noble. It's on 46th and 5th, which is my favorite Barnes & Noble. I don't know if Barnes & Noble has a books written by romance reality star section.
I know what I'm gonna get him. Something that represents family and Christmas and brothers. The perfect bestie ornament. The best ornament.
Let's find somebody in sales who'll talk to me, and I'll buy Russ an ad on one of our sites. That'll be perfect. That keeps it in the family. Is this sales? That's the snack room. Does no one work here? Why do we have all this office space if no one works here?
So we found the Barnes & Noble, the last remaining bookstore in the universe. I don't think they have a genre called butt poop. So they didn't have the book of baseball-themed love poetry written by Bachelor contestants, which is really unfortunate because I had to ask somebody in the store if they had it. It's, I think, an ebook exclusive, which is my bad for not looking that up in the first place. But Chris Plant left his iPad sitting out on his desk. I'll put my credit card info in there, ebook it. He'll turn on his iPad like, what?
Nobody's here. This is no good. This is a bust. Nobody's here.
There is the New York City taxi cab, seasonal and local. There are 4 adorable bears, because they're bears.
So we're back in the office, and we're gonna construct a masterpiece. An artistic, heartfelt masterpiece.
I don't want some goof-ass present. I don't want like a nice card. I'm getting Chris Plant an incredible present. I'm an incredible present getter and giver.
So Griffin really likes Tearaway, so I thought I'd make him like a homemade Tearaway style card to celebrate the holidays. Oh no. Okay, I guess I'm changing colors now.
Hi, fellow coworkers. I'm doing some Christmas shopping for Russ Frushtick of the Besties, and I was wondering if anybody would sell me anything. I'm in the market for high-end electronics, and I can spend no more than $10. Does anyone have anything they could sell? What do you got here?
This is a knockoff iPod Shuffle.
Okay.
We got them for the bathroom, bath tins.
Okay.
This cost $4.50 on Amazon, but I'll sell it to you for $4.
I want to spend at least 10 because I don't want to have to get him more things.
Okay.
Hey, this is great.
Hang on, what do you got?
This is probably useless to anyone.
Perfect. That's ideal.
Hey, give me your iPad.
What?
Give me your iPad.
Just give me the iPad. It's an iPad mini.
Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, I do want it.
All right. It's locked. The perfect crime.
Okay, so this is us. This is like, we're like brothers, and we're besties. And this is me, and Griffin, and then Hoops, and then Russ. And Russ has a little bit longer hair than he normally does, but like, I don't think anybody's gonna notice. And this is New York Giraffe, and he's dressed as a dog. And this is all the other characters that Russ plays, and they've been cooked, and we're gonna eat them.
So here's my work. We've got painstakingly laid macaroni on glue, not Elmer's, this off-brand glue. We have these hearts that are covered in macaroni, well, the cheese from the macaroni and cheese, that hopefully when I shake it off, it'll be perfectly in the shape of hearts. And we've got Milton Bradley here, talking about how he doesn't trust the Irish, which, I'll be honest, I don't really trust the Irish either. So I'm with you there, Milton.
So look at this. Here's a holiday shopping tip from me to you. Apple. That's official right there. Apple. Official Apple branded product. No problem. Okay. I have $5 more to spend on this is a steal. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate this.
I would say the plan went off seamlessly, without a hitch, masterfully executed.
It's from Santa. I need you to unlock your iPad.
What do you mean it's from Santa?
It's just unlock your iPad.
You're gonna buy something on my
I'm not.
with my money?
The Christmas crime is done. Looks on his iPad.
This is a genuine iPhone 5S fake model.
Okay.
It's not real. It doesn't. It's just like the same weight.
And I can get there for $5?
Yeah, you can get that for $5.
Wow, this is great. Thank you so much. This is done. Great, I'm done. So I got Rust 2 official. So tune in to our next episode to see what we got. We'll reveal
We
this
don't
during
know,
halftime
'cause
we
we
don't know
didn't
yet.
just watch
We
it.
literally at this point have not exchanged gifts. So, but you know, you're at home. All right, next big category is revamps, and our first battle is Super Mario 3D World versus The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. Hachimachi. Shigeru Miyamoto, go to bed. You are not going to like how this shakes out.
You know what's really sad is that some dude who actually made those games, it's like, he's getting the credit again?
I cannot win. Oof.
Brutal,
Okay,
man.
Griffin.
Did we do this on purpose? Did we keep pitting like really?
No,
hard?
what,
No,
the way
it's just
these
a really
the way
good
these shook out is
year.
we gave seeds where the highest and lowest scoring games were pitted against each
Based
other.
on reviews.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, what do you want me to do? Mario
Super
or
Mario,
Zelda?
Mario.
I can do Zelda. Okay, go
Super
ahead.
Mario 3D World is the first 3D multiplayer Mario game. I never played it. I played it with my wife and 2 of our friends. I didn't play it any other way. I only played it with 4 people. That's the only way to ingest this game. It is I would say part party game, part like really tight Super Mario Galaxy style platformer. That is just like, it's fun in a way that Mario games never have been before, and it's all in that cooperative play, which is
Okay.
really
Zelda.
Well done. Zelda: Link Between Worlds is a sequel to A Link to the Past, the SNES game. Link Between Worlds has you returning to that same map and that same world of that previous game, while totally revamping what a Zelda game is in terms of structure. There's tons of freedom in this game as to where you go. How you get items is completely different. They actually make you care about getting money in a Zelda game for the first time, maybe ever. It's just basically like how Zelda is going to be taken into the next generation. This feels like the evolution of Zelda.
It nails open world in a way that I was not aware Nintendo was capable of doing an open world.
Absolutely.
So I want to say something before we get too deep into this. I have not spent a lot of time with Mario. I played one world by myself, and then we played some together.
In an interesting way, I have not spent a lot of time with Zelda, but I
So
played more
let me
with
say this:
Mario.
if it's 3 against 1, I will not fight for Zelda because that
You won't need to,
I
because
won't need to.
mathematically you won't need to.
But if we're
That's a grand gesture.
we're
It's
s-
sacrifice, laying down your sword.
I'm just saying I'm not gonna make a big thing of it. But
Okay,
if
great.
but if we're,
But
if
it is
there's
still
a
going
split,
to lose.
Zelda is obviously the better one. It is of the ones that, but it's way better than the one I didn't play very much. But to me, Zelda caught me by surprise in a way that I was not capable. I was going to love not only like Zelda games, but like Nintendo games. Period. I thought that ship had kind of passed me by, but this got its hooked into me so deep, and it doesn't hurt that it is a spiritual successor to
Your favorite
what,
game of
in
all
my opinion, is my favorite game of all. Well,
Yeah.
no, it's the best game of all time. My favorites.
But that says a lot
is
because you have
Oblivion.
such an emotional connection to Link
And,
to the
and
Past.
let's be honest, it is playing with those. It
Yeah.
is taking those art assets and reforming them in a way
For
that's
sure.
recognizable, but still.
But you could
evolved.
also, that could really go against them, which is like, this is one of the best games ever made. how like making a game that's so closely tied into that
Right.
could easily be like,
was a
oh,
gamble.
there's no way this could live up. This is a better game than Link to the Past.
I think the
honestly,
only-
I think it is.
The only thing that's giving me pause about this decision is, again, and like this keeps coming up, and when I'm trying to make these decisions, is just how I ingested the games. Because I played it with 3 of my favorite people over the course of like, God, we bought it on I think launch day, and I just finished it last night. It was like this. It was the source of maybe 9 or 10 nights of like a lot of fun. Whereas Link Between Worlds, which I adored, I just pillaged that game in like 2 days by myself, just like sitting in my office, like I'm gonna get it all. Like to me, I think that's why I think Zelda is the more important game symbolically in terms of not just where the series is going, but Nintendo starting to like figure some stuff out. Like Pokemon and Animal Crossing, 2 games that are probably in my top 5 that we didn't pick for some reason. Both started to like get this idea of online multiplayer in handheld games, right? Which nobody has done on the like dedicated handheld market before. Like Nintendo's starting to turn the old ship around in terms of just the things that have been so frustrating about that company in the past. I think adding co-op to Mario is baller, but
It's also a trick that we've seen Mario games do
Well,
it.
no, don't.
no.
I will stop you right there because the new Super Mario Brothers games and the 3D Super Mario World game, not even remotely comparable. Not even remotely comparable.
Well, it may be better, but like they did it.
What I think is the achievement of Super Mario 3D World is it took what is my favorite of the Mario games, which is Galaxy, which is very much a single-player experience. And they found a way to make that experience workable with 4 people.
So this is what I'm going to say, and I mentioned this earlier to Justin. I agree with you to a certain extent, but because of the camera and because of the nature of the angle that you're seeing it, I think a lot of the platforming is hindered by some of those aspects. I don't know if I'm going to jump and land on something all the time. I don't know if I'm going to hit something above me, because it's like the lining it up is
I
a lot
agree
more
with that.
tricky.
That's kind of fair. And this is just being fair to all the games. I think that's a little unjust, just because these are games that you don't really like, and games
That's
that you
not
put
true. I love
very
platforming
little
games.
time into.
Platforming games?
Well, this Mario game, like both of you, like your first 30-minute reactions, both of you were kind of like, "It's for babies," which is your words.
And it's not-
But also when you,
when I played it, I was like, oh,
but
I
I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad at all, because I think these very much are what we're coming to with it. And that's why I would just say I wouldn't attack it for that, because it gets very complex, and the fact that you
guys
can
trust
do it,
on this.
the fact that 4 people can play it is a testament to the controls being pretty pretty solid.
To me, the thing that sets Zelda apart, and we really need to take a vote on this and figure out where we're at. The thing that sets Zelda apart is, and I think you take money as an example. I think money's a good parallel between the two. Money in Zelda has been re-examined to see, why are you getting it? Why are you getting rupees? What's the point? Why are we having you do it? And how should that work? How should that feel?
Yeah.
Coins in Mario are still there, working the exact same way they always have.
but that's
that's weird.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying, I don't think Mario re-examines itself and like really says what's worthwhile, what's useful, why are we doing all the things we're doing in a way that Zelda, the way that Zelda does.
I just want to finish up on Mario, and then we can take a vote. Sorry.
Okay.
But I basically want to say the same thing that you said, but for Mario, and that I feel like it's a game that finally takes this language of Mario that everyone's very, very familiar with. And it's amazing how ridiculously in-depth that language is. There's all these characters, all these worlds, and it uses that and subverts it constantly, level after level. Basically, it has a sense of humor about it, from wearing like the Goomba's skin or a flagpole that starts at the beginning of the level and suddenly flies away. And it's taking this thing and like it's almost a surreal twist on this already pretty surreal game. But I have a feeling it's going to lose.
Well,
and
I just wanted to bring up a point of like comparing the rupees and coins is kind of apples and oranges, because you're looking at something that did definitely change in that one game and something that didn't change in the Mario game. There's tons of stuff that changed in the Mario game. Like, it's not nearly as subversive as Link Between Worlds is. I won't argue that like it's changed equally, But I think by introducing this co-op element, they have changed the very genre of the game from being just a platform.
I think so, and I think that they made it. They figured out a way to make it feel relevant, which is super impressive.
And I think that's why you're starting to see it in all the ads. Like it could.
To me, Zelda takes that a step further, which is what puts it for a step ahead.
But you don't have a Mario tattoo, do you? So like, if we're talking about bias.
Oh no! Flash him.
What? Well, mine's on my leg, so I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Zelda.
Mario.
Wait. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll do it in a different order.
Kermit, you got.
I had a better time playing Mario, but Zelda's the better game.
I'll concede it.
All right. So, Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds brings down Mario 3D World. Is it Mario 3D World Land? There's been so many. It's hard
Super
for me to
Mario 3D
Already
World Land.
Just
The jumping one,
let
right?
it die in peace.
All right, number 6. Oof. This one's big. Our second matchup in revamps: Tomb Raider versus Bioshock Infinite. Wow. Tomb Raider is I think in the same way the other two revamps we're talking about is a real.
That's a revamp-ass revamp.
That is a revamp-ass revamp. There is very little that ties this to other Tomb Raider games other than
She's British.
The lead character, she's British. Even like her backstory seems to be
She's
very
not.
different.
I'll say this: she's not as British. As
She's even less
PlayStation.
British
She's less
than she was
British.
before.
She doesn't have a butler or a British mansion.
It brings it into an open world game, completely revamps controls, and how basically every mechanic in the game works. I mean, it is a from the ground up relaunch of the Tomb Raider franchise.
Bioshock Infinite is a first-person shooter that kind of is a hodgepodge of its creator's interest, from history to philosophy, and represented in this bizarre kind of twisty story that is about everything from physics to political beliefs. And very, very simply, you're in a place in the sky, and you have to find a bad dude and maybe save a girl, though she kind of works with you.
That was
Wow.
a pretty.
Well,
good
I started.
succinct- No. You got everything. You started
nailed
at the
it.
top, and then you went all the way down to the
You don't
bottom. It's
wanna-
the inverted pyramid.
You don't want to spoil anything. This one's really tough for me because I feel like the question in this round is about execution versus ambition.
Yep. Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Like, for me, Tomb Raider is executed in a really sensical, but almost you could argue methodical way. I
Maybe
mean,
even clinical.
maybe even a little bit clinical. And that's not taking away anything from the creation of the game. I'm saying that this is not so much about swinging for the fences as it is about how do we make Tomb Raider relevant and what's the best, most efficient, sexiest, coolest way we can do that.
Yeah.
Bioshock Infinite, on the other hand, I think is about big ideas, and it's about trying things, and it's about throwing a lot of stuff. You could almost argue maybe too much stuff. I don't know. But throwing a lot of stuff against the wall and seeing what works and going for a really big idea.
Yeah.
And I don't know which of those do you reward.
Sure.
It's tough.
So this is what I would say about Bioshock, where Bioshock succeeds and where maybe it doesn't quite succeed. Just in terms of so the first half hour of Bioshock Infinite is one of the most memorable video game experiences of my life.
And one of the most exciting video game experiences I've ever had.
Oh, it's amazing. Drew me into this incredible world, totally foreign world. I didn't know what was going on. There was mystery. There was subtext that was slowly delivered, and I was just fascinated by it. And that is really those moments are what Bioshock does really well. And honestly, it saddens me because they are very rare throughout that game. They do not happen very often, where you're quietly introduced to this world. And in their place, what those moments get replaced by are combat sequences where you're in a very large environment and there's 20 guys in the center of the room, and you've got a bunch of weapons and you got a bunch of magic powers, and you sort of just kill a bunch of them. And it's not a violence thing that I'm talking about. It's a it seems weird. It seems like they're very contrary. Sorry, 1 second. The other moment that jumps to mind is what's her name? The
Elizabeth.
Girl. Elizabeth. You wake up on the beach and you're going through the toy store, and you're going through like all that stuff like really rings like
Yeah.
very memorable to me. And then what follows after it is like a wave-based combat sequence. And for combat that really didn't feel very good, bosses that didn't really feel very good. Like, it just feels like there's 2 games there, and one of them just isn't up to par with the other one. Whereas Bioshock 1, I thought there were 2 games there, and both of them really managed to meet the other one's level.
I just wanted to say, like, a lot has been made of the violence of the game, and it is like an exceedingly violent game. But for me, that has never really been a knock against it in terms of like I would condemn it for its violence. And when I say violence, like I'm talking about the hook executions, which is it's not like something that ruins the game. It's just so contrary to like it's the most gorgeous like world. Its execution might be a bit off, but it is the most gorgeous and like a captivating world like ever. And you get it throughout the game. The first half hour is so condensed, and you have like every 15 seconds like a moment that's like, oh my god, what's that? Oh my god, what are they saying? Like, but it is throughout. And then to have like the most, no kidding, like the grossest like decapitation, like face ruination I've ever seen in a game before. Like, it's not like, oh, this is terrible. It's like, that's weird because I was just looking at a butterfly. Like there was a butterfly on that dude's shoulder, and then I ruined his face.
The other thing about this is that, and this shouldn't be a criteria for how good a game is or not, but you have to remember that if you're making a game if you want a world of this scope, and you want a game of this intelligence, it's like saying something at least, and it has points to make, there are going to have to be concessions to get it actually made by people. Like if you want scope and scale, it's just like anything else. Like if you go to the movies and you see massive, production values, I don't think that that's always going to tie to perfect execution of like a very specific artistic statement that.
So we keep talking about.
Sorry.
What flawed execution are we talking about? Because like we keep saying.
I want to say what just bothered me about it as I've been away from it, because I think it is a game that I call it, this is horrible, but it's like Garden State Syndrome, where it's a series of images that are all very interesting and ideas that are interesting and music and emotion, and it pounds you, and it works in the experience. And then you get away from it, and you start to really kind of dissect it, and you start to find things that you kind of find a little upsetting or ugly or cheap. And what really upsets me about Bioshock Infinite is it feels like it uses history and also very, very hot-button issues as basically like emotional trapping or decoration. And what I find, really, really upsetting about it is its portrayal of race and poverty as this nothing almost. Like it says it's bad, but then it doesn't really have anything to say about it. By the end of the game, we're talking about metaphysics. And it sets all that up in that first 3 hours. In that first 3 hours, you're like, this game is going somewhere good. This is going to be a game that says something about all this stuff and these terrible things it's making me do and making me see. And when you fall on the beach, right? Yeah. You fall on the beach, and the only thing people are talking about on the beach are how much they hate Irish people and black people. And it's like, wow, this is a really bad world if that's the only thing they have to talk about everywhere we go.
Oh my god, we're on a floating beach!
Yeah. And then it does all this, and basically the turn is that, well, they're bad too. And that was like, no, they're not. And it's it worked in Bioshock to have that kind of like cynicism of, it's more complex.
It's just an absolute power corrupts.
But this like, it's such a like disappointing, cynical idea of the world to put into this.
When you say they're bad too,
the people who hate the racist people are also not that great. It's like, wow, okay. That's kind of a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's just that, it's the recurring theme of Bioshock, which is like, power corrupts, and everybody's got, give them a little power and they'll be horrible. And that I can't.
It's almost using like politics as, and I'm using that term very broadly.
Yeah.
But politics as pornography.
Sure.
Where these issues of race and religion are thrown in your face to elicit a reaction, but there's not a sentiment underneath it that's really worth the what it's taking on. Yeah. It's like Schindler's List, which I can't believe I'm bringing
Why do we keep doing that?
It's a great example of like, we're going to talk about Nazis. It's like, whoa, okay, that's a pretty big thing. I hope you have a lot to say about it, and it does.
Yeah.
Like-
But the moment in the game that I think like even represents the whole game is when you go into the war museum and you see the Boxer Rebellion, and this museum doesn't say anything. It's just like giant cardboard cutouts. That's just this horribly offensive stuff, and it's like, why is this being put on me? Like this, and I get that it's a video game and you have to reduce it and all that stuff. But at a certain point, yeah, you have to choose to emphasize something or to say something and not just use it as a set.
But you said it's set dressing. Like that's just what it is. Like for me, it didn't bother me so much that it didn't have like a message about it. It was set dressing. It was this like horrific characterization of these different issues.
He's saying that that's cheap.
Imagine Transformers, and then in the background they were like slavery, but also the slaves are bad. And then you're like, wait, what? This is a blockbuster video game.
Wait, real quick. Does anybody have anything of merit to say about Tomb Raider other than it's excellent?
I mean, that's what it boils down to, is like you have this game that, again, Ambition tried all these crazy things, made up this entire city, made up this crazy backstory, and with a mixed execution. And then you have Tomb Raider, which has a dragon sword, whatever, and is a fun action game. So
it's really.
But that's the thing. For me, I'm showing my hand because I'm going to pick Bioshock. But for me, ambition has always been more important than execution. I finished Tomb Raider, and I can see where it was an excellent game with some excellent mechanics that was really good. But I just found it kind of like so forgettable.
You know what? I thought for me it was going to be easy, but I think the game that deserves to continue to be talked about is Bioshock.
And I think it will.
Tomb Raider.
Here's why
I'm saying now.
I will say why I disagree with that is because Tomb Raider is so well made that it's easy to dismiss it, and it is ignoring strong writing, strong characterization, incredibly well crafted experience. There's a lot that is excellent about it, and while I like ambition,
there's so many. You know the moment when she gets the fucking grenade launcher and the whole place just loses its mind. You know the whole place is like, oh shit, it's Lara Croft. And like the whole place loses its mind. It's her. And it's like, wow.
And
I
agree with Griffin that ambition in general, I would say trumps just doing something really just more the same really well. But for me with Bioshock. While I really, really admire the ambition, it's just what it's saying is even more than GTA 5. I just find it so uncomfortable that I just couldn't.
The message being that everything sucks, no matter what. Everybody sucks. Everyone's off.
Which is both of the games.
Let's do a vote.
Okay.
Vote.
I'd say Bioshock.
Tomb Raider.
Bioshock.
I was just thinking about the part with the grenade launcher, and it's so sweet.
Think about the barbershop quartet and the flying boat.
That's sweet too. What can't we put?
Here's what it comes down to for me. In 5 years, I will not remember Tomb Raider. I just won't.
It's a good game,
but I won't.
There were a lot of good games this year, though. Like Bioshock Infinite had its issues, but God, it had some really weird stuff going on.
I will push my vote just because I want to talk. I don't think Tomb Raider is going to make it past Zelda next anyway. I would be happy to talk more about Bioshock.
Tomb Raider's really good though.
It's really good.
If we're talking about the best game,
we'll do it next year because they're doing the next gen. We'll bring it to next Besties. It'll get a mulligan.
But are we really saying that if we're talking? This is why this is so arbitrary. If we're talking about the best thing, isn't the game that's like better, like better executed and better made and more fun, the one that should win? Like, isn't it like it would be
okay?
But
if we put Call of Duty Ghosts up against Frog Fractions,
Frog Fractions wins.
Why?
But Frog Fractions isn't morally reprehensible.
But I don't.
It's a bit more.
Well, sure, but your example is also
reprehensible. I don't.
It's what?
No, it's not.
That's
Bioshock is not morally reprehensible.
No, well, neither was that a fair comparison. I'm just saying, if we're gonna get into like Fox News chat, I'm gonna go for it.
I think it's Tomb Raider.
Oh God, Justin,
I'm sorry.
We gotta move on.
I think Tomb Raider was more fun, and for me, we can talk about a lot of this other stuff as like.
We can't just go based on fun though. Like a fun factor, like Last of Us versus Rogue Legacy from a minute-to-minute standpoint.
Well, no, he's just saying why he personally feels.
Okay, but the other thing about it, and this is where it really loses me, is when I finished this, and maybe I'm dumb, but when I finished the story of Bioshock Infinite, my reaction was, what the fuck are you talking about? I had to go look at my little brother, had to send me a flow chart to show me like what just happened.
I didn't think it was that complicated.
I didn't think so either.
To all the, all the different I get the basic thing that was going on, but like in terms of what all the different ramifications mean, like that is not great storytelling. When you're in the game, it's like, what are you even saying? And it's such a, the other problem with it that I think is like actually the biggest problem is Bioshock Infinite opens a door with its story that literally invalidates everything that has not only happened in that series, but will continue to happen.
Okay, but we can't. For me, this argument of but it has multiple universes, so anything could happen. Like that's always seemed like such a pedantic argument, because like if you start talking about that, like is any game that has this multiple universe factor like?
That's also Bioshock's fault, because it literally says like it's not like one where it's like, oh, it reached into that bag once and pulled something out. The end of the it very much is like, it could be anything, and that's, I do find that frustrating. I was going to say this because I assumed it would make it further, but I just find it frustrating when, and this is why I don't like most fantasy, when anything can be explained in the fiction. And that's the argument that people use when they're like, when I say I don't like the story, and they're like, well, you didn't understand it. And I'll be like, well, this didn't make sense. And they're like, well, maybe in this universe. And it's like, oh.
Sliders, they do that in Sliders a lot.
Is anybody willing to switch?
No.
I'm leaning.
Stand strong, stand strong, stand strong.
Here's what it comes down to. There is no way either of these games is going to make it past the next round. Not a chance in hell. Like, not a chance in hell. So
we talked about the ending of Bioshock. How did Tomb Raider end? If you can tell me how Tomb Raider
Dragon
ended,
Sword.
If you can tell me right now how Tomb Raider ended,
Dragon Sword.
in acceptable detail, I will back off.
Okay, wait, give me a second, seriously.
Don't say grenade launchers, because that won't the end.
Yeah.
Wait.
That's what I'm saying, dog. Like,
you don't remember it.
You
And
don't
that's the
remember it
point,
because
it's
it-
like in 5 years you won't remember.
It was
an
good.
iota.
Okay, Bioshock Infinite.
Fine.
Well done. Still not making past the next round, but that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Bioshock. All right, moving right along to experimentals. We got the Stanley Parable versus Brothers. Let me pitch Brothers.
Actually, this will be a
Brothers is an amazing game that is, I should make an editorial thing. Brothers is a game where Brothers, you are controlling two different characters in a fantasy world. It is a co-op game for one person, where each character is controlled on a thumbstick, and they have very simple actions, or very simple controls rather that are tied to the left and right triggers. So this is the little brother, and this is the big brother. Maybe I have that reversed. And the story of their sort of like fantasy adventure to find a potion to cure their dad is paralleled in a real way with what you're doing in the controller. And by the end of it, it connects story and mechanics in a way that is really, really amazing, and I found one of the most sort of like, not just moving, but it was moving in a way that used mechanics to move me rather than dialogue or music or whatever. And I thought that was really fantastic.
So you're saying I probably should have finished it?
Yeah, Russ, you probably should have finished it.
Got two trolls together.
I can't
husband and wife trolls.
Here's what's gonna make this one easy. I cannot talk to Russ
Don't
about
look
Brothers.
at. Just don't look.
I
at Russ.
literally
don't
can't
look at Russ there
pitch,
or in.
pitch Stanley Parable.
Stanley Parable is. God.
It's a work of game criticism that you can play.
It is the most erudite game about games that anyone has ever made.
I don't.
You don't think so?
I think
it's erudite. I think it has a very clear.
It's very playful, but like the points it makes touches on almost every single like issue with game design. And when I say design, like it's something that people haven't really tackled before, because you get these parodies like, what was that action game where the guy was like
Matt Hazard.
Matt Hazard.
Right.
That like tackles the idea of like machismo running this biz, like, yeah, totes, yeah, you got it, like that, you got it. This takes the idea of narrative pathways and like level design and
miraculously manages to do it in a way that is not mean or means it manages.
There's no
to
call outs.
actually,
It's not like,
Right.
hey, I mean, there are references to
But not
some
negative.
games, but not in
But
negative
in
ways.
good ways, yeah.
In good ways, yeah, sure. it doesn't reference anything. It's not mean about anything. It just
It
lays
knows
these
you know.
issues out.
In a real way. Okay, so Stanley Parable. Let me try it. It is about a guy who works in an office, and there is a narrator telling the story of Stanley. And Stanley has, in the big scope of things, Stanley has one very specific mission that he is supposed to do, and if he did it that way, it would be a very traditional video game.
Very short,
very traditional video game. But what Stanley Parable does is it allows the player or the agency to defy the narrator. And the narrator and the game and everything shapes itself around the decisions that the player is making. And then once it reaches its end, it starts again and encourages that to let you explore that way. It's a very non-linear approach to
you almost feel like a QA
exploration.
tester.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
break the game. There's even a moment where you can think that you've gotten outside the environment and broken the game, and then the narrator chimes in. Like there's so many moments like that where it's like, aha, I've outsmarted you, and then the narrator's like, no, you super didn't.
Yeah.
Brothers, I think is amazing and beautiful, and everyone should play it. It takes like 3 hours, and it's absolutely transcendent. But I think that Stanley Parable is more important and arguably better executed
And more entertaining. It's
more
super
entertaining.
funny and clever.
I love the hell out of Stanley Parable, and I would pick Stanley Parable over Brothers.
Me too.
Me too.
That makes it easy because now we don't have to worry about the Brothers situation coming up anymore.
Yeah, so Stanley
For what
Brothers.
it's worth, I really enjoyed Brothers.
Brothers is huge and moving, and
I just
everybody
wasn't able
should
to finish it.
just fucking. Will you please?
I'll finish it when I go home.
All right, you promise?
Yeah,
Promise.
sure.
Promise to TV. Promise TV.
I promise TV.
Stanley Parable wins.
I will finish it.
Last matchup in this round, in this sweet 16. All right.
Okay, really
God.
bad one.
Kentucky
This is
route-
actually
okay,
going to close this episode, this show, right? This is our last
this is the
decision.
last
of
one
the
of
show.
this
but I
episode.
gotta say it out loud so the graphic can come up.
Okay, say it.
Kentucky Route Zero versus Gone Home. Let's do it. Dun 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 dun. Jock jams. Jock jams.
Uh,
Do they say jock jams?
Oh my
in
God.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
who wants to do which one?
I will not do Kentucky Route Zero. I can try Gone Home.
I can do
I can do
Kentucky
Gone
Route-
Home.
I can do Kentucky Route Zero. Kentucky Route Zero is a point and click adventure game that is defined as much by what isn't there in terms of like gameplay and story and items and graphics as what is there. It almost uses sort of, I guess you could say, negative space. It strips
Which is
it down
interesting
to its
because
core.
a lot of its graphics are black and white.
Right. It strips it down to the absolute bare essentials, and in doing that, uses those to communicate a lot of stuff about desperation and longing. And what we should say is Kentucky Route Zero is an episodic game. There have been 2 episodes, and there are also 2 interludes that you could make the argument aren't part of the series. I think we need to count them.
Yeah, I would.
I'll say that because I liked one of the interludes way better than.
Oh, did you play the interludes too?
I played the entertainment, which we talked about last
Wait,
week.
we got to do the other game.
Sorry, the other game is Gone Home. It is a very concise. I would sort of compare it in terms of link to the original Portal, both in tone too, because it's a very complete experience that you get in 2.5 hours.
But not in tone, really?
Not in tone, but in terms of it being like this full. It felt like
Sure.
a full, very enriching experience. That is a length of a game that I think it traditionally would put people off. I think it put a lot of people off because it's a 2.5 hour game. It cost $20 when it came out, and people raised a big stink about that. But it is a first-person exploration game where you are in a house. There is, I would say, a limited amount of narration at certain key points while you're exploring this house. But you are unraveling the mystery of this family. You're a daughter in this family. Nobody else is home. And you have to figure out why you're there, where they are, who they are, what the dynamic of the family is, what the history of this house and this family is. And I'll be honest, it took me a long time to get around to the game because none of that sounds like stuff that I would be interested in doing. But there is something so rewarding of solving this little mystery.
Yeah.
Of what this life is for these people, and it does it in a way that is it's just nice. It's just like a nice experience. Like by the time I finish it, I was happy for like 2 straight days. And a lot of that is, I don't know, the presentation's pretty limited. The soundtrack is really, really, really good.
I think there's a really interesting comparison with Bioshock because we talked about ambition earlier, and interestingly
Which makes
enough,
sense because
a lot of the people who worked on this game had worked on Bioshock 2 and the Bioshock 2 DLC Minerva's Den, and when we talk about ambition and knowing kind of your limits and using them to your advantage, Gone Home, I cannot think of a better example. Where they looked inwards at what they wanted to say, what affects them as human beings, what they like to create in terms of these first-person games, what they don't like about them, and also what they could pull off on a certain timetable, which feels so much like the opposite of Bioshock. And what they did is they stripped away characters that you come in contact with. They stripped away AI. There's no guns. They came up with a very simple mechanic that is very original of just touching everything and touching these personal objects. And that's so interesting in games because as video games have gotten more realistic and believable, the objects themselves have been kind of further and further distanced from you.
Or they're just like very formulaic. So
yeah.
it's like, oh, it's a ball, oh, it's a box. The most realistic cassette case I've ever seen in a video game.
Board games too that like there's only like 4 or 5 of them in the house because each one must have taken them like weeks and weeks and weeks to make because like you pick them up and it's like you could see you could imagine opening the box and there being like rules of this game inside that somebody made. Like I think the biggest testament to why Gone Home is so great, it's this small, thoroughly explored, neat little package, is that the entire time I played it, and I imagine I'm in the majority on this, I kept expecting a ghost to come out. I'm not joking. I expected a ghost to come out of a closet and fight me.
Like why I had such an engaging experience playing the game is because there's a pervasive feeling of dread as you're playing Gone Home, and that really powers you through a lot of the game's moments. And that's all done with music, as you said, really good lighting, like tremendous lighting, like really well-timed moments that like you don't really expect.
And the writing, because like you know nothing about anyone when you start the game, so you get these little hints of like what kind of people they are, and then like you'll read a note and you'll be like, are they cheating on each other? Like, is that what's going on? Like, is this guy losing his mind? And then you start to build these other theories of things that you know literally nothing about. It's just so rewarding to like. You could finish the game. You could read that note that says like, oh, she's definitely cheating on him. Then not read any more notes, make it to the end of the game and be like, did you play Gone Home? Like, man, that mom was totally cheating on that dude. But like, if you read everything, maybe the story is not that cut and dry.
The thing that's, I think, it's what's so hard about this is I think these are so similar and dissimilar in a lot of ways that are worth talking about, because Kentucky Route Zero, almost to where everything in Gone Home feels very planned. Like it feels very, and it's not a negative, but you are supposed to find the ticket stub underneath the freezer. Like it's there, so you find it. Kentucky Route Zero almost willfully says, I don't know. What do you think? We put a lot of stuff out, almost even to the point where when you have dialogue in the game, you have dialogue options that don't shape the story. It's like, I don't know. What do you think? I'll let you make that decision based on like what is happening and what your mood is and like what makes sense to you. And it doesn't shape things. It's just like if a game could be plain spoken, that's what Kentucky Route Zero is. It's abstract, but at the same time very direct.
It's even more interesting when you start taking conversations from different like sides, which is which happens in the second act, and it's like, wait, what?
Two people when you're controlling both their dialogue options. They're talking to each other and like.
And it's. I think there's this like conversation between technicality almost and folksiness that exists in both these games inverted, where what you're coming in contact with in Gone Home is just like, this is a personal story, and it very much feels like I'm walking in somebody's home, but also like you said, it is carefully planned, and it is, they know exactly what you're going to do, and they're great at that.
It's also not abstract at all. It's not. I saw a lot of people say it was this highfalutin art game, but like
Gone Home.
Yeah, there could literally be no more like inaccurate a word than that. It is so.
It's highfalutin because you don't have a gun. I mean,
that's really what it's so straightforward in the story that it tells.
Yeah.
that it's not. I don't
Yeah,
But the thing about Kentucky Route Zero is that, and this is what I think is really funny about it, is that it almost defies you to, if you are trying to project like logic and reason onto it and like a meaning into it, like it's challenging you to do that, because if you do it, it's not. Hey, listen, it's not telling you to do that.
Yeah.
It is just telling a story about a guy trying to find a road.
Yeah.
It is about a dude trying to find an address. And if you think because of your I just completely rolled out of the way. If you think because of preconceived notions that like there's a lot, I mean, it obviously is I'm being reductive, because there's a lot of other stuff that's clearly under the surface.
Yeah. But to go back to this technical folksy thing, just to like put a bow on that, what I think is interesting about Kentucky Route Zero is that looking at it visually, we kind of talked about this earlier, it looks like a video game. It looks very like point and click adventure, and it looks more like the artsy indie game. Oh my gosh. But I feel like it keeps pulling back and just being like, no, this is just a story. This is just like, there's a great moment in the first episode where it's like gets weird and weird and weird, and then it pulls back and it's just people playing their banjos and guitar. And it's like, no, this is what you're here for. And there's another moment that I really, really love that, I mean, you didn't even come across, to give you an example of, how you might not
That's
even
not
see
my
these
fault,
things.
though.
No, it's not at all. The game does that on purpose, I think.
Yeah.
Like it
differentiate
lets you
people's
not
experience.
see it. But there's a moment where you go into it's like a convenience store in the middle of nowhere, and you're not supposed to see it, but you kind of come across it, and there's these fish tanks, and then the option is to put your hand in it, and the experiences of putting your hand in these fish tanks are so different, and yet so weird and so memorable to me. I don't even want to talk about what exactly they are, because they're so perfect and unique. It's just really special.
And on that token, what I would say about Kentucky Route Zero versus Gone Home, Kentucky Route Zero looks and sounds unlike any video game I've ever played. Like, bar none, I cannot make a correlation to another game. Gone Home uses a lot of very familiar tropes to it. Obviously, you don't have a gun, but it's still a first-person shooter. You're using first-person shooter navigation techniques to find these things in the world.
You're talking about a point-and-click adventure game, though, dog. Like, that's not reinventing
No, but in
the
terms
wheel.
of look and sound, in terms of look and sound, Kentucky Route Zero does not, like the graphical style and the like musical style and the audio design is unlike any video game I've ever played.
Right, but I could say the same thing about Gone Home. Like, what other game has had like that Riot Girl soundtrack to it before? Like,
For sure, I think those are.
But I would say Gone Home uses traditional, like first person, like, it's a realistic environment. Like, it feels familiar.
I hate to do this, but we need to figure out a winner here.
Sure.
Here's where I'm at. This is where I'm at, and anybody wants to get aboard,
Okay.
you can come along. This is kind of a cheat.
You're gonna
But-
say because Kentucky Route Zero.
Well,
is
no.
not fully
What I
out?
think is that the reason this is so hard for us is because this single question, the last 10 minutes, what we've illustrated for you at home, is how absolutely and utterly
meaningless
Game of the Year discussions are. Because, and I think that and it really highlights how good of a place we're at in video games right now. It can get, listen, I can get cynical as much as the next guy, but you look at these two games, and they are two games that executed nigh perfectly on what they are trying. They are exactly what they want to be. Yep. They nail being that thing that they set out to be. And the only reason I'm going to say we should give it to Gone Home, there are two reasons. One, I'm pretty sure there's pizza outside. Two, Kentucky Route Zero hasn't reached its culmination yet. And I would not, I would not play like the first hour of Gone Home and say it's better than a game that I finished. And Kentucky Route Zero, I completely get that it has succeeded at everything it set out to do. It's just not done with itself yet. So if in the 5th episode it's all really racist, I don't want it on my hands that I said it was
So
the
here's
best.
the only argument that I do want to put against that, though, is if you're talking about just a game being complete, I think, one, the episodes can stand alone. I think the standalone intermissions can stand alone.
Sure.
And I think they have said as much and done as much. And if you want, it's a dumb argument, but size, they are full things.
They're beefy.
They're beefy.
They're robust.
That that it doesn't bother me to have it on the list. I could talk about Kentucky Route. It's my personal.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about. That's the thing.
And that's the other thing is if we started talking about the entertainment, then it's a whole nother.
We could talk for 2 hours about that,
crazy
and
discussion.
everybody would literally hang themselves. But I think we're again talking about apples and oranges, like we talked about how similar these games are. One is completely abstract. One is the most straightforward a game can possibly be in telling a story about a very realistic.
I need choices. I've already made my choice. That's where I'm at.
Point to me.
Griffin.
Gone.
Okay.
Chris Plan is voting Kentucky Route Zero.
I can see him eating it. You can,
I
if
know,
you
I'm
look,
so
you can
hungry.
see him
I
eating
can
the
see Chris
pizza.
Cran eating
I also have to
pizza.
pee. Like I'm like 30 seconds away from pee pants.
Think
I-
about how much easier this will be for Kentucky Route Zero to swallow if they know they were beaten because we wanted
In
pizza.
the interest of pizza
In
and
the
no
interest
pee
of
pants.
pizza.
Wait. Can I say something? Here's
wanna
how we
say
can
something to
here's,
you.
Here's the compromise.
I like
If-
Kentucky
if-
Route Zero better than Gone Home.
Okay.
I've enjoyed the experience of playing it better. I just think if we're saying like which is the better game, Gone Home.
This is all you have to
Okay.
say to me right now.
Okay.
Can
If you
Kentucky
ask me to
Route
remember
Zero,
the end of
No,
anything.
can it be here again next year after it finishes?
Absolutely.
Okay, then
And
fine.
Tomb Raider Unlimited.
If we're here
Edition.
next year, though, I will be very upset. This is the first episode of the Besties. It's in the can. We're going to be back with you soon, a few days probably. Look at Polygon.com, and we will make all of these go against each other. Gone Home brings down Kentucky Route Zero, but it will return, as will we. So I hope you'll join us then. Until then, I'm Justin McElroy. We work at Polygon.com, and we hope you'll visit there. And now we're all going to say Besties at the same time.
Okay, ready?
1, 2,
3.
Besties!
Worst show.